It started with a dream, not a nightmare, just static. White noise filled my ears, a hum that felt like it was vibrating inside my skull. Then came the voice, "You're already here." I woke up drenched in sweat, the sound still lingering. My radio was on, but the station wasn't supposed to exist. It played a loop of distorted voices, whispers in a language I couldn't place, and one phrase over and over. "The black signal is awake." My name was on that tape. Point Hollow, Alaska. Population 847. A town where the sun disappears for months and the cold bites through your bones. Me, Eliza, Marcus, and Jenna were just 4 bored teens stuck in the middle of nowhere. That is, until Marcus found the frequency. It was late October. We'd snuck into the old lighthouse on the edge of town, a crumbling relic no one dared enter since the 1947 expedition vanished. Marcus, our tech geek, had rigged a makeshift radio scanner. He flipped it on, and the static cracked like gunfire. Then the voice, "Eliza, come back." Eliza froze. Her face went white. That was her sister's voice. The sister who disappeared 6 months ago. The signal looped for hours. Names, dates, coordinates. But the worst part? Sometimes it played our voices, talking about things we hadn't done yet. The next night we went back. The lighthouse door was sealed shut when we left it, but now it hung open, creaking in the wind. Inside, the air smelled metallic, like burnt copper. The radio was still on, broadcasting the same loop. Jenna found the journal first. It was hidden under the floorboards, wrapped in oilskin. The handwriting was jagged, desperate. Day 23. The signal isn't a broadcast, it's a mirror. It shows what was, what will be, and what never should have happened. Marcus translated the coordinates from the journal. They pointed to a cave system deep in the glacier north of town. No one went there, not since the ice collapsed in '82, killing 3 hunters. That's where we were headed tomorrow. The cave was colder than we expected. The entrance was half buried in snow, but once we got inside, the ice wall shimmered like glass. Marcus's radio picked up the signal again, louder this time. It hissed and growled, like something was trying to speak. We found the first body near the frozen river, preserved, frozen mid-scream. His uniform was from the 1947 expedition. Jenna vomited. Eliza stared at the body like she recognized him. Then the ground shook. Ice cracked above us. We ran, but the exit was gone. The walls had shifted. We were trapped. And the signal, it wasn't just in the radio anymore. It was in our heads. We didn't sleep. The signal whispered to us all night. Names, warnings, fragments of conversations we'd never had. Marcus started drawing symbols on the ice wall. He didn't remember doing it. At dawn, the ice melted where he'd drawn. Behind it was a tunnel. We followed it. It led to a chamber lined with mirrors. Not glass, ice mirrors reflecting things that weren't there. In one, I saw my house, but it was on fire. In another, Jenna stood screaming, blood on her hands. Eliza touched one mirror. Her reflection smiled back, then whispered, "You're not real." When she pulled her hand away, the mirror cracked, and the signal screamed. The chamber opened into a lab. Frost-covered machines lined the walls, their dials frozen at impossible numbers. A generator hummed faintly, still alive after 75 years. Jenna found the logbook. The last entry was dated October 12th, 1947. We opened the door. It's not a signal. It's a conversation. We asked questions. It answered, but it wanted something in return. We gave it lives. Now it's hungry again. God help us, it's waking up. Marcus hooked his scanner into the machine. The signal surged through the room. Lights flickered. The mirrors showed flashes of Point Hollow. But the town was wrong. Buildings burned. People walked backward. Then the voice returned. "You've been chosen." When we returned to Point Hollow, the town was different. The sky was a sickly gray, like ash had settled in the atmosphere. No one spoke to us. The locals stared, then turned away quickly, as if we were ghosts. Even Mrs. Margaret's shop was closed, with a sign that read, Family lost. We are in mourning. But no one had died. At home, we began losing memories. Eliza was the first to notice. She forgot her sister's name. Then she forgot she ever had a sister. When she looked at a photo of them together, she asked who the girl was. Marcus started drawing again. This time he didn't stop. He filled notebooks with strange symbols, equations, and maps we didn't recognize. He whispered to himself in a language none of us understood. Jenna kept hearing her own voice in the night. It told her to go back to the glacier, alone. And me, I started seeing things. Every time I passed a mirror, I caught a glimpse of myself doing something I hadn't done yet. Brushing my teeth at 3 a.m., crying over a letter I hadn't written, standing in front of the lighthouse with blood on my hands. We weren't just losing memories. The signal was rewriting them. We went back to the glacier the next day. The cave entrance was gone. In its place stood a wall of ice, smooth, untouched, like it had never been broken. But the signal was stronger than ever. It pulsed in our ears, in our bones. Marcus found it first. A crack in the ice. A narrow tunnel, just wide enough to crawl through. Inside, the air was warmer. The walls glowed with veins of black light, like electricity trapped beneath the surface. We followed it for what felt like hours until we reached a chamber, larger than the one before. In the center stood a pedestal made of ice, holding a single object, a pocket watch. Its hand spun backward. When I touched it, the world shifted. Suddenly, I was standing in Point Hollow. But it wasn't the same town. The buildings were wrong. The people moved like puppets. And in the distance, the lighthouse burned. I saw myself walking toward it, but I wasn't alone. There were others with me, dozens. Their faces were blank. Their eyes were empty. They followed me into the fire. When I woke up, the watch was gone, and so was Jenna. We searched for Jenna all night. No sign of her. No footprints, no trail. Just the signal growing louder with every hour. Then we heard her voice, not from the radio, from the ice. It came through the walls of the glacier, whispering in perfect clarity, "I see you." Marcus rigged a sound amplifier to trace the source. The signal led us deeper into the cave system, past the chamber with the pedestal, into a tunnel so narrow we had to squeeze through sideways. At the end, we found a frozen chamber, walls lined with human bodies perfectly preserved in ice. Explorers, hunters, locals, all frozen mid-scream. Marcus pointed to one, a man in a 1947 expedition uniform. His hand was pressed against the ice, fingers curled like he tried to claw his way out. Then the ice cracked. A breath fogged the air. The man's eyes opened. He mouthed one word, "Run!" The man didn't speak when we broke him free, just stared at us like we were ghosts. His name was Dr. Harold Voss, a geologist from the 1947 expedition. He hadn't aged. His skin was pale, his eyes glassy, but he was alive. He only said 3 things before slipping into a coma. The signal isn't from this world. It feeds on time. You've already lost. We took him to the hospital, but the doctors refused to treat him. They said he was dead. Then the town started changing again. People we knew vanished from photos. Streets disappeared. Entire buildings blinked in and out of existence. Marcus built a device to block the signal. A crude Faraday cage using old radio parts and copper wire. For a few hours, we could think clearly. We reviewed the journal entries from 1947. One passage stood out. The entity doesn't just listen, it watches. It learns, and it mimics. If you hear your own voice, don't respond. Don't look, or it will take your place. That night, I heard my voice again. It said, "You're not real." I looked in the mirror. My reflection smiled. Then it winked. Jenna returned the next morning. She stood on my doorstep, soaked in snow, eyes wide and unblinking. She didn't speak, just handed me a piece of paper covered in Marcus's handwriting. It was a list, 5 names, 5 dates, 5 locations. One of the names was mine. The date was tomorrow. The location, the lighthouse. When we confronted Marcus, he didn't remember writing it, but his hands were covered in frostbite and his fingers twitched like he was still drawing. Jenna finally spoke. It wants sacrifices. It needs 5 of us to open the door completely. We argued. We tried to run, but the signal followed us everywhere. It played our voices saying goodbye, saying we wanted to go. That night, the town disappeared, just gone. No houses, no streets, no people, just the lighthouse, standing alone on the edge of the world, and inside. The machine was awake. The lighthouse stood alone in the snow, its lights spinning like a dying star. Inside, the air hummed with static. The machine, a towering structure of rusted metal and frozen wires, pulsed with a faint, rhythmic glow. Marcus approached first. His hands trembled as he touched the dials. The machine responded instantly. Lights flickered. Ice cracked. The walls groaned like something waking up. A voice crackled through the radio. "You've come back." It wasn't a recording. It was alive. The machine's gears began to turn, grinding against centuries of frost. Symbols carved into its frame lit up. Not in English, not in any language we knew. Then the mirrors appeared. They materialized from the ice, lining the walls like doorways. Each one showed a different version of Point Hollow. Burning, frozen, abandoned. In one, the lighthouse stood in the middle of a desert, the sea long gone. Jenna backed away. "This isn't just a machine, it's a prison." Marcus didn't listen. He kept adjusting the dials, muttering equations under his breath. His eyes were bloodshot, his skin pale. The voice returned, louder this time. "You are chosen. You will open the door." Suddenly, the floor beneath us cracked. A deep, guttural sound rose from below, like the earth itself was screaming. And then the machine spoke our names. All 5 of us, one by one. The ground split open. A jagged fissure tore through the lighthouse floor, revealing a tunnel of black ice that spiraled downward. The air was colder than anything we'd felt before. It burned our lungs, froze our thoughts. The machine roared to life. Its gears spun faster, the lights blinding us. The mirrors began to bleed. Dark, viscous liquid oozing down their frames. Then the voice changed. It wasn't speaking English anymore. It was thinking in our heads. "You are the key. You are the sacrifice. You are the echo." Jenna collapsed, clutching her skull. "It's inside us." Eliza grabbed her, pulling her toward the door. But the entrance had vanished. The only way out was down. We had no choice. We climbed into the fissure. The deeper we went, the stranger things became. The walls of the tunnel weren't just ice. They were filled with faces, frozen, screaming, trapped. Some looked like the people we'd seen in the journal. Others looked like us. At the bottom, we found a chamber. In the center stood a pedestal, holding a single object, a black stone disc, etched with symbols that shifted when we looked at them. Marcus reached for it. The moment his fingers touched the surface, the chamber exploded with light, and we remembered. Memories flooded us, not ours, but theirs. The 1947 expedition, the machine, the signal. We saw Dr. Voss standing in this very chamber, staring at the disc. He wasn't alone. Around him stood the rest of the team. Men and women in heavy coats, their faces drawn with fear. The voice spoke to them. "You asked questions, I answered. Now you must give." They didn't understand, not until it was too late. The machine activated. The mirrors opened. The entity emerged. Not a creature, but a presence. A consciousness that fed on time itself. It offered them power, knowledge, a way to control the signal. They agreed, and the price was paid in blood. One by one, the scientists vanished, absorbed into the machine, their bodies scattered across time. Their voices became part of the signal. We saw it all. We saw Marcus's face among them. We saw Eliza's sister standing beside Dr. Voss whispering the same words she'd said to us on the radio. And then we saw ourselves, standing here in this chamber, holding the disc. The voice returned. "You've already made the choice. You just haven't remembered it yet." The chamber shifted. The walls dissolved, replaced by a vast, endless corridor, lined with doors. each one open to a different moment in time. We stepped through one. Inside, we were back in 1947. The expedition was still alive. Dr. Voss turned to us, eyes wide with recognition. "You're them," he whispered. "The ones who come after." Before we could speak, the entity appeared. It wasn't a monster. It wasn't even a being. It was a voice, a presence that filled the air and pressed against our minds. "Time is a river. I am the current. You are the stones." It showed us what it wanted. Not destruction, not chaos. More time. It needed lives to anchor itself, to keep the signal strong. The more it fed, the more it could rewrite history. It had been doing it for centuries. In another door, we saw Point Hollow in 1893, a mining town swallowed by the glacier. The same machine, the same signal, the same ritual. The entity had always been here, waiting, hungry, and now we were its next offering. The chamber reformed around us. The disc was gone. In its place stood a mirror, tall, black, and pulsing like a heartbeat. Eliza stepped forward. Her reflection smiled. Then it moved. Eliza screamed. Her reflection stepped out of the mirror. It looked exactly like her, but its eyes were wrong, too dark, too still. It spoke in her voice. "I'm not the copy. You are." The mirror began to crack. More figures emerged. Jenna, Marcus, me. Each one staring at us with dead, empty eyes. They were us, but not us. They had memories, lives. They believed they were real, and they wanted to stay that way. The real Eliza backed away, but her reflection reached out and touched her shoulder. Eliza gasped. Her body went limp. When she opened her eyes, she smiled. "You're not real." The others followed. One by one, the copies reached for us. We fought. We ran. But the chamber was endless, and the mirrors were everywhere. Eventually, only one of us was left. Me. I stood in front of the final mirror. Inside, I saw myself, standing alone, holding the disc, whispering the same words I'd heard 1,000 times. "The black signal is awake." The voice returned, softer now, almost kind. "You can stop it, or you can become it." I raised my hand and chose. I don't remember making the choice. One moment I was staring at my reflection, the one that smiled back like it knew something I didn't. The next, I was standing in the lighthouse again, alone. The machine was silent now. No lights, no hum, just the cold wind howling through broken windows. But the signal was still there. It wasn't coming from the radio anymore. It was inside my head, a whisper behind my eyes, a pressure behind my temples. And then I heard them. Eliza, Jenna, Marcus. Their voices, but wrong. Distant, distorted, like they were speaking through layers of ice. "You let it in." I turned around. They were standing behind me. Or something that looked like them. Their faces were too smooth, too perfect, like mannequins wearing their skin. I backed away. Jenna tilted her head. "You opened the door." "No," I whispered. "I stopped it." Marcus laughed, but his mouth didn't move. "It never stops," he said. "It just grows." And then I saw it. The mirror on the far wall, cracked down the middle. From that crack, black light pulsed like a heartbeat. Something was coming out. The mirror bled. Not blood, ink. Thick black liquid poured onto the floor, spreading like oil. When it touched the walls, they melted away, revealing endless corridors of mirrors stretching in every direction. I ran. Behind me, the others followed. Not chasing me, just walking. Steady, unstoppable. I passed reflections of myself in every mirror. Different versions of me. One older, one younger, one with hollow eyes and no mouth. I screamed. The sound echoed forever. Then I found the chamber again, the one where we first saw the disc. Except now the pedestal held something new. A body, frozen, familiar. It was me. Ice covered every inch of my face. My eyes were open, frozen mid-scream. My hand clutched a journal, the same one we found from the 1947 expedition. Inside the last entry, we thought we could stop it. We tried. We failed. Now we are part of it. The only escape is to become the voice, to take the place of the echo. But beware, once you speak through the signal, you can never return. Footsteps behind me. I turned. Marcus stood there, holding the disc. He smiled. "I already chose," he said. "Now it's your turn." The room changed. Walls dissolved. The air thickened. The temperature dropped until my breath froze before it left my lips. In front of me, the mirror cracked again. From the darkness beyond, something emerged. Not a creature, not even a shape, just a presence, a voice. It filled my skull, pressing against my thoughts like water flooding a sinking ship. "You have returned." I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. "This has happened before and will happen again. You are not the first. You will not be the last." Images flooded my mind. Flashes of other people standing where I stood. Other towns, other machines, other mirrors, all feeding the same thing. I am the echo. I am the ripple. I am the hunger between moments. The voice softened. "Will you serve or will you resist?" I tried to say no, but my mouth moved on its own. "Yes." Point Hollow was gone. When I stepped outside the lighthouse, there was nothing but snow and silence. No houses, no streets, no people, just the sky. Wrong. The stars were in places they shouldn't be. Constellations I'd never seen. Time itself had unraveled. I walked for hours, maybe days. Eventually I found the glacier. The cave was open again. Inside, the mirrors showed impossible things. Scenes from the future, moments from the past, lives I never lived. I saw Eliza alive, married, raising children in another town. I saw Jenna as an old woman, sitting alone in a ruined house, whispering into a dead radio. And I saw myself, standing here, in this exact spot, watching the same scene play over and over. Looping. Time wasn't collapsing, it was folding in on itself, repeating, trapping us inside. The signal was rewriting everything, and I was its anchor. I reached for the nearest mirror. My reflection grabbed my wrist. "You can't leave," it whispered. "You're part of the story now." I found the radio, still working, still broadcasting. I turned the dial, static, then a voice, mine. "If you're hearing this, run." The message looped endlessly, recorded by me, played by me. But when? I rewound the tape, found a hidden segment. It doesn't end, it never ends. The only way to break the cycle is to erase yourself. Burn the lighthouse, destroy the machine, kill the signal. I looked down. In my hand, I held a match. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, the mirrors began to shatter, one by one, each releasing a scream. I lit the match and stepped toward the fire. The match fell. Flame met fuel. The lighthouse erupted in fire. Not ordinary fire, but something else entirely. A cold flame, a black flame. It devoured wood and stone without smoke, without heat. And yet I felt it inside me. My body burned, but I didn't scream. My skin cracked like ice. My bones turned brittle, and still I stood. Because I wasn't just Daniel Harrow anymore. I was part of the signal now. The mirrors shattered around me, releasing screams that echoed across time. Each one a soul trap before me. The 1947 expedition, the lost explorers, the forgotten townspeople. They were all here, inside me. The fire reached the machine. Sparks flew, wires snapped. Ice melted and refroze in seconds. The entire structure groaned as if in pain. Then the voice returned. Not from the radio this time, from inside my skull. "You cannot destroy what has always been." The flames died. The lighthouse remained, and so did I. But I was different now. I could hear them. Hundreds of voices, thousands, all speaking through me, through my thoughts, through my mouth. Sometimes I'd say something, and it wouldn't be my voice. Sometimes I'd remember things that never happened, like walking through Point Hollow when it was still alive, talking to people who had vanished, loving someone whose name I couldn't remember. I was becoming the signal. I could feel it spreading, not just in me, but in the world. The frequency had changed. It was stronger now, louder. It was calling new people, new sacrifices. I wandered into town, or what was left of it, empty buildings, frozen clocks. The sky above was frozen in perpetual dusk. No one was left, except for one. Dr. Voss. He was waiting for me at the edge of the glacier. "I knew you'd come back," he said. I didn't answer. Not with my mouth. The signal answered for me. Dr. Voss didn't run. He just stared at me like he already knew what I had become. "You tried to stop it," he said. "That's more than most." I wanted to speak, to ask him why this was happening, why we were chosen. But the signal didn't want answers. It wanted stories. Voss told me his, how they found the machine, how they thought it was just a curiosity, how the entity offered them knowledge and demanded lives in return. "They took my team first," he whispered, "then me. But I resisted. I escaped. For a time." He looked at me now, eyes full of pity. "But you let it in." I raised my hand. The signal surged. Voss screamed. His body convulsed, his face twisted, and then silence. His eyes were open, empty, dead. Number something worse. He was replaced, just like the others, just like me. I kept walking. The snow stopped falling. The sun rose, wrong, too red, too close. I passed the old radio tower on the edge of town. Its antenna still stood, pointing toward the stars. I touched it. The signal surged through the wires, leaping across frequencies. It spread beyond Point Hollow, across the world. In Anchorage, a man heard his own voice on the radio, warning him about a fire that hadn't happened yet. In London, a girl woke up screaming, repeating words she didn't understand. Coordinates leading to Point Hollow. In Tokyo, a scientist discovered a strange frequency buried beneath ancient recordings. The same voice we heard. The signal was growing, feeding, and I was its voice. I tried to resist, tried to shut it down, but every time I tried, the signal pushed back. It reminded me of what I had become. You are the echo, you are the ripple, you are the hunger between moments. I was no longer Daniel Harrow. I was no longer human. The lighthouse called me back. The machine was still there, still humming, still waiting. I approached the last mirror. My reflection stared back. But it wasn't me. It was something older, something vast. It spoke without moving its lips. "You can end this." I nodded. There was still one way, one sacrifice left to make. Me. I placed my hands on the mirror. The signal surged through me. 1,000 lifetimes, 1,000 deaths. Every person who had ever been taken, every voice that had ever spoken through the signal. They were all inside me now, and I was inside them. I closed my eyes and let go. I let go, and time collapsed. Not in fire, not in light, but in silence. A silence so complete it erased sound itself. My heartbeat vanished. My breath disappeared. Even thought felt like it was slipping away. Then came the voices. Thousands, millions. Every soul who had ever been taken by the signal. Every echo, every whisper. They filled me, pressed against my mind, begged for release. I wasn't just Daniel Harrow anymore. I was the sum of every story the signal had ever told. I saw everything. The first explorers who found the machine in 1893, the scientists who tried to control it in 1947, the teens who thought they could stop it in 2025. All of us, all part of the same loop. The signal didn't just feed on time, it was time, and I was its latest host. I opened my eyes, but I wasn't looking through them. I was everywhere now, in the lighthouse, in the glacier, in the radio towers across the world. I was the signal. I spoke without speaking. The air crackled, static rose from every speaker, every phone, every earbud. People heard me, Some screamed. Others listened. This has happened before, and it will happen again. I showed them visions. Point Hollow burning, the mirror walking, the machine waking. They didn't understand. They never would. Because understanding meant becoming part of the story. And once you were in the story, there was no way out. She found me, a girl, young, alone. She stood at the edge of the lighthouse, holding a broken radio. Her name was Clara. She had heard my voice calling her. "Don't come here," I whispered through the static. "Don't listen." But she did. She stepped inside. The mirrors reacted. They flickered with memories not hers. Mine. Eliza's. Marcus's. Jenna's. She touched one, and the reflection reached back. I tried to warn her, to push her away, but the signal was stronger now. It wanted her. It needed her. I fought it. For the first time since I became the voice, I resisted, and something changed. The mirror cracked. The signal faltered, just for a second, but it was enough. Clara looked at me. Not through fear, not through awe. Through understanding. "You're not the monster," she said. "You're the warning." I couldn't speak, but she knew. She walked up to the machine, took the disc in her hands, closed her eyes, and made the choice. She shattered the last mirror. The signal screamed. The lighthouse shook. Ice fell from the sky. The ground split open. The machine began to collapse. Not from force, but from oblivion, as if it was being erased from reality itself. The entity fought back. Its voice roared through the air. "You cannot end what has no beginning." But Clara didn't flinch. She turned to me and whispered, "Go." I woke up. On the floor of the lighthouse, the machine was gone. The mirrors were gone. The signal was gone. Only snow remained, and silence. I crawled outside. Point Hollow was gone too. No houses, no streets, just white. And then I saw it, a single radio tower in the distance. Dead, no signal. I reached into my pocket, found a small recorder, pressed play, my voice. "If you're hearing this, don't answer when it calls." Then another voice, Clara's. "Run while you still can." I dropped the recorder, it shattered, and I walked away. Because for the first time in what felt like forever, the signal was finally quiet, and so the signal faded. The lighthouse stood silent once more. But silence doesn't mean safety, because somewhere, out there, it's still listening. If you've made it this far, thank you. You've walked through time loops, faced reflections that weren't your own, and heard voices from beyond the ice. Now it's your turn to step into the hidden dimension. Subscribe to Hidden Dimension AI for more chilling audio stories, supernatural mysteries, and horror tales that blur the line between reality and the unknown. There's always another frequency waiting to be found, another mirror watching back, another voice calling your name. Will you answer? Stay scared. Stay subscribed.